Patriots win, not necessarily what people were hoping would happen because of a draft result that you're hoping they could have maybe snuck in a little bit higher than what they were going to be if they won. And now we know what we know, which is the Patriots have beaten the Jets, finished 7-9. They are very likely to end up in the 14th or 15th slot of the NFL draft. Likely puts them out of the top quarterback conversation, makes it harder to trade into the top 10, but not impossible, but just kind of that's where they're at. So this is what the Patriots
this is what you were worried about, right? Was this purgatory? Was Bill Belichick is good enough, Cam Newton is good enough to get this team to 7-9? We kind of knew that this is where it was headed all along with this marriage.
Most people were saying 8-8, you know,
right. And that was the fear, was that, okay, yeah, maybe they could be a little bit frisky, and they did make it interesting there with the win against Baltimore and Arizona and the Chargers, and you thought, okay, maybe this team has something going for it. But at the end of the day, they were always a mediocre team, always a mediocre roster. I was going to finish somewhere around 500, pick 15th in the draft, and be sort of nowhere. You know, you're not in the running for one of the top quarterbacks now. You're probably going to miss out on the premier talents of this draft. You know, the Kyle Pittses, the Micah Parsons. Maybe you could start talking about a Devontae Smith. I think Jamar Chase is out of the question too. So where are you really picking at 15th or 14th? Where are you really going with that pick now? I think is an interesting conversation. And I wouldn't take, maybe Bill Belichick would take it off the table, but trading up from this spot should not be off the table for the Patriots fall in love with one of these quarterback prospects.
And that's the thing. You don't know if they do or they don't. We've seen it again. You never know what to believe or not believe when it comes to the NFL draft and the Patriots. But there are some times where they do the things you wouldn't expect them to do based off of their history. For example, Baker Mayfield and the conversations that transpired prior to that draft, the Patriots were ready to throw the kitchen sink at that situation. By all accounts, after the fact, it just didn't happen. He went where he went. Had he fallen 4-3, the Patriots were getting a father offer to try to get up and get. They could be in a position like that again, which could be future firsts, first and a second, if in fact they see a guy that they think this is the guy. So do not put it past them. It is not beyond the realm of possibility. However, right now you're looking at an almost certainty that quarterbacks go at 1 and 2, and you don't have any idea beyond that what it's going to take to even jump up to get the third quarterback. You might have to get all the way up to, now we could be talking about up to 4, which might be a reach, unless of course you're convinced that no, that's the guy I wanted all along, you know. And it could be, to use a Celtics kind of analogy here, there could be the Jason Tatum there that they think is actually the best quarterback in the draft and isn't going to be taking 1 or 2, who they think they can get at 4, 5, or 6. And maybe that's a situation where you move. But I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a wild offseason with that in mind.
Yeah, this is definitely where the fear was that, like I said, Belichick was good enough to coach this team, as depleted as they are in different areas of the team, the opt-outs, Cam Newton's first year in the system, Cam's struggles, all those things. He was still good enough to get this team to 7 wins, which is a great thing because you have the head coach still in the building next year, and he's the guy leading the rebuild. And if you can get this team to 7-9, you give him some more talent again, and all of a sudden, you know, we can turn this around quickly. That's the positive outlook of it. The negative outlook is because the Patriots wanted to remain competitive, wanted to play for the playoffs when they were still in the postseason hunt, and then obviously weren't going to be able to stink as badly as the Jets stunk today. Here we are. And now we have to pick 14th, 15th, and have these conversations about sort of being in that middle ground of, do you trade up? Do you just let somebody fall to you? Where do you exactly take it from here? I think is going to be a very interesting question, but ultimately 11 draft picks, 11 draft picks, $60 million in cap space. They got plenty of assets.